Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/getstarted. That's GREENLIGHT.com/getstarted.
I mean, MODOK's cool and all. I just don't know how he's going to gel particularly well with Marvel as a property. I don't.
Well, but yeah, fair. But man, we get Patton in Marvel.
He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Nobody watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season.
Okay.
That is a great question. Thank you. So Clip Clop Tom era originally started as a sort of meta commentary on Tom's underrepresentation in cold opens.
Right. But we should point out Tom was the first to die in the cold open. So in many ways, Clip Clop Tom was his own eventual creation.
Eli, what are you guys doing?
Hey, everybody. No Illusions and Cecil Something Italian. Guys, join us up here on stage. Get on up here, guys.
What is this? Why are you doing this?
Well, with Eli's essay about modern art this week, we thought it might be fun to do a sort of wide open Q&A about our own narrative with listeners.
This is just a bunch of people falling asleep.
Yep. Like I said, our listeners. Which reminds me, Cecil, question from Gregory earlier in the talkback. Cecil Something Italian, can you speak to us about sort of the commentary that nickname raises to a post-migration Italian ethnicity?
I'm pretty sure Eli just doesn't know how to pronounce my last name, Gregory.
No, it's probably an art thing, right?
Say my last name.
Fettuccine Alfredo.
Wrong. The F's are silent. Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Cecil, and I'll be running this art gallery tonight, but I can't do it without my dogs playing poker. So here's our cast: a pug, a Rottweiler, an Afghan, and a Greyhound. Eli, Tom, Noah, and Heath.
Finally, I'm ranked most attractive on the podcast. I knew.
Yes. All right, this one I feel this one. Me and the Rottweiler, we both drool uncontrollably around dinner time. So, yeah.
So I'm impressed that you even had the balls to go for which dog looked most stoned, and all the more impressive that you nailed it. You nailed it. I had to look that I wasn't familiar with an Afghan dog. I looked at it and I'm like, oh, it's the stoner dog. Okay, I get it.
Definitely. And I'm fast. That's my thing. Fast Heath. That's what they say. Fast Heath. Quick like a fast Greyhound.
Do we have any other running jokes about Heath right now that are like fresh? Anything
fast? It's me that I'm fast.
So before we start, let's thank the sophisticated and refined taste of our patrons of the arts. And if you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around until the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Eli, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event we'll be talking about today.
Today we'll be talking about controversial modern art.
Okay, so Eli, break into the A in that BFA and tell us, what is modern art?
That's a tricky question, Cecil. One that if you think you have an answer, there's a smart person who usually can say like, ah ha ha, but what about blah, 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 blah. And you're like, ooh, I didn't think of that. I'm not a smart person, so I don't actually remember what that person says, but that's what always happens to me.
Okay, so fun response to that is just universally to go, yeah, that's not art. Right? Regardless of what they're talking about.
Irregardless.
Draw a better picture.
Irregardless of whether or not one can say something is or isn't art, there definitely is bad art. And when it comes to modern art, there's no lack of examples. So tonight, we're going to sit back and walk over the dead bodies of the postmodernists who made our absurdist podcast about the meta-conceit of internet knowledge possible. Because this is the internet, and that really is how it works now.
Yeah,
I hope we get into a fight about how blank canvases are art, because I am sharpening multiple knives as we record this.
Oh,
man.
no. Yeah. See, the meaning is in the spaces between the descriptive. And that's really what's speaking the loud.
What?
Cecil?
What?
You got that look in your eye.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kidding. I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of trouble, guys.
You are. Go lay down.
First up, the example even your Uncle Frank is pretty sure he's heard of. Marcel Duchamp's fountain, which you've probably heard him explain as, well, one time they done put a turlet in the museum, so they don't know what's what in the big city, let me tell you. And he is kind of right. Duchamp purchased a standard Bedfordshire model urinal from the J.L. Mott Ironworks at 118 Fifth Avenue, turned it on its back and wrote the name R. Mutt 1917 on the side, and then submitted it for an exhibition of the Society of Independent Artists, the inaugural exhibition by the Society to be staged at the Grand Central Palace in New York.
Yeah, this is one of the early works known as Dada. This was a movement so stupid, it was literally named when some German guy tried to sound smart by making nonsense noise over and over, but saying it, ironically with air quotes, and people were too afraid to admit that they didn't get it. He wrote in a magazine, "Our movement will bear the name Dada. Dada, 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 Dada." And people were like, totally, yeah, no, right, yep, rejecting the bourgeois society is genius. I also get it. Dada.
So
Dada,
be careful,
Yep.
Heath. Be careful. Of all the things we pretend to know about on this show, none is more controversial historically than our own opinions about art. So...
Yeah, so there is a bit of Emperor's New Clothesism to Dadaism for sure, but there's a little more to the story than that. So first of all, the toilet was never exhibited. That famous photo you've seen was taken in a friend's apartment and published in the Dadaist magazine, The Blind Man. Side note, The Blind Man could honestly have been the topic of this essay all on its own. It had an issue printed on toilet paper. It had an all blank issue. And my personal favorite, it had an issue that when you ordered it, a young woman would just come up to you in a public place and scream the issue at you. Or maybe it didn't.
How would they do that?
Yeah, it's unclear how many issues of Blind Man ever sold or were made, and how much of what I just said was made up by its editors for the press. So, yeah.
Okay, the one part of that, which might be good art, in my opinion, is buying a magazine that's actually just a lady yelling at you. And they probably didn't even do that part. Fucking boo.
Fucking boo, indeed.
Heath is just going to be so mad. That's all you can already tell.
I
He's
started
already
furious.
You see, Heath, with the blank pages, that's really just the spaces between the descriptive. Actually, speaking, I'll be quiet.
Look at this blank space I'm drawing out right here.
Speaking of made up for the press, back to the toilet. The other detail that's often removed from this story is that Duchamp was on the board of the Society of Independent Artists. That's the people running the exhibit. And he submitted the fountain under a pseudonym. Now, the reason he was on that board was because they were hoping he might grace their exhibition with his recently announced Cubist painting titled Tulip Hysteria Coordinating. Problem is, Tulip Hysteria Coordinating doesn't exist. And it never did. And folks who listen to our episode on the Tulip Madness will get that reference. But extant or not, when his toilet didn't appear in the show, Duchamp resigned from the board and, quote, withdrew Tulip Hysteria Coordinating in protest. And I know what you're thinking at this point. Wow, Eli, that work of art I once dismissed has taken on new dimensions for me. Surely you are the heart and soul of this podcast. Okay, nobody. Okay, well,
no.
What you're actually thinking is, has anybody ever peed in the toilet? And yes, a lot of people have peed in the toilet. So while the original fountain is lost, it was, after all, just a toilet, Duchamp oversaw the creation of 8 replicas for sale.
But I'm sorry, you phrased that as though you lose toilets all the time, Eli.
I mean, I do. And quite a few people have peed in those replicas. Quote, South African-born artist Kendall Gears rose to international notoriety in 1993 when, at a show in Venice, he urinated into fountain. Artist-musician Brian Eno, who listeners will recognize from his work with David Bowie, the Talking Heads, and U2, declared he successfully urinated in fountain while it was exhibited in the MoMA in 1993. He admitted that it was only a technical triumph, however, because he needed to urinate in a tube in advance so he could convey the fluid through a gap between the protective glass, end quote.
Yeah, because if it's not, it's just some guy with his dick in a slot between the glass telling the security guards he can't finish if they watch him. It's not going to go.
Okay, if your thing doesn't really become art until Brian Eno pees in it, that's not a good sign.
No.
Yeah, also, not for nothing, but if the protective glass doesn't protect your art from having people piss on it, I'm not sure exactly what it's doing there.
Yeah. Continuing the quote, Swedish artist Bjorn Kjelljerf urinated in fountain.
How was that name again? I didn't catch it.
Bjorn Kjelljerf.
There we go.
Oh,
There we
yes.
go. I thought so.
Yeah, there we go. That guy, he urinated in fountain at Moderna Museet in Stockholm in 1999. And in spring of 2000, Jan Chai and Jin Yu-zi, two performance artists, went to the newly opened Tate Modern and tried to urinate on the fountain, which was on the display.
Were they going to cross streams?
They were yeah, exactly. But they were prevented from soiling the sculpture directly by its Perspex case. The Tate, which denied that duo had succeeded in urinating into the sculpture itself, banned them from the premises, stating that they were, quote, threatening works of art and our staff, end quote.
So now I'm just picturing him running around going like, oh, we came all this way and we're not going to piss on any of the art? Come on.
Okay, but if the museum got rid of the glass and put like invisible cellophane over it to spray the people back, now I'm listening about the art value. That's good stuff.
And last but not least, fountain has a nemesis in the personage of one Pierre Pinoncelli, a 76-year-old French performance artist who peed it in 1993 and then attacked it with a hammer in 2006, saying the attack was a work of performance art that Marcel Duchamp himself would have appreciated.
Was there a big like urination movement in 93? I feel like you said that year several times.
I know, right? I think it was like the only time it was displayed in a place without the box is why it's got all the damaging incidents, but I don't know that for sure. The question of, is that thing you brought with you art comes up again for our next work, My Bed by Tracy Emin. It's her bed. Now, according to Emin, the piece was a result of a depressive episode where she stayed in bed for 4 days without eating or drinking anything but alcohol. And apparently when she got up, she felt that the bed represented something. I don't know.
My dad in the 80s. That's what it represents.
No need to pee in it. Already taken care of, right? My dad, too.
4 days she laid in bed. That's it. You know, this is the problem of the everyone gets a trophy culture we're in. Okay. Exactly. I do 4 days sleeping in my bed. Wait.
So, as you can tell, we, like many critics, are not fans because there are those who would say anybody could just plop their bed in a museum. And to her credit, Emin responds to that criticism saying, quote, well, they didn't, did they? No one had ever done that before, end quote. And that, I must admit, is demonstrably true.
Well, unless you count the time Heath passed out into a urinal, in which case those are beds too. In which case,
yeah,
that counts.
Side note, remember those performance artists who tried to pee on the toilet but got stopped by the box? They did manage to jump into My Bed, where they had a pillow fight for about 15 minutes before they were escorted off the premises.
That's a long fucking pillow fight.
One of the pillows was filled with 11,708 votes.
Okay, is performance art just doing prank war shit, but in a museum? Because like all of this is nothing stacked on even less.
Yes, correct.
What's a great
description,
You're getting there,
Tom. Yep. Getting there, buddy. Almost there. But our opinion of the piece certainly hasn't brought the price down. Quote, my bed was bought by Charles Saatchi for £150,000 and displayed as part of the first exhibition when the Saatchi Gallery opened its new premises at County Hall, London. It was then auctioned by Christie's in July of 2014, where the piece sold for a little over £2.5 million.
Okay.
Jesus.
While I spend a few minutes looking for ordinary household things that I can claim are art and sell for millions of dollars,
Yeah.
let's take a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
Little to the left.
So here,
Yeah, that's perfect.
God damn it, guys. What are you doing now?
Oh, Heath and I were making art about art.
Oh, that sounds awful.
No, it's not bad. Look, for instance, what do you see?
I see a giant metal Cabbage Patch doll.
exactly. It's a condemnation of dark money sex trafficking.
The Cabbage Patch doll?
Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah. So you know how one theory about why the price of modern art has inflated so drastically is that it's a way for extremely rich people to pass around large amounts of money tax-free?
No, I don't. Do they do that?
I mean, it says that they do in the Panama Papers, and Jeffrey Epstein very prominently received gifts of expensive modern art from people who were later revealed to be his clients. So I guess it's not out of the question.
Okay, but the giant Cabbage Patch doll, like,
Well, a Cabbage Patch doll is a commodified baby. So, you know, it's like a reference to that.
Right. And by making it big and metal, we're sort of taking on Kunzian absurdist big for the sake of art, postmodernism, structuralism.
You could put this in the lobby of a bank.
Exactly. And nobody would know that they didn't pay taxes on it or even what it means. Right? It's just
wait. So, but by podcasting about art, aren't you actually
No, wait, don't.
making art about art? What the hell just happened?
Oh, man.
Yeah, we disappeared up our own assholes.
Yeah, that tracks.
I tried to warn you.
Hey, look, it's Eli's blog.
Okay.
All right, after some deep searching, I've settled on my new art installation. It's going to be a pair of worn out headphones, a brush with matted hair, and a half full cat box. I'm going to entitle it Podcaster. Call me, Christie's. Just give me a ring. Can we call? Where were we, Eli?
All right. Well, I think everyone on this podcast can agree, some of us for a living, that blasphemy is pretty awesome. It makes fun of a bad thing. It proves that said bad thing probably doesn't have lightning powers, and it literally only upsets assholes. So while these next two pieces were controversial in the art world, I think they're going to do just fine here on Citation Needed. First up, a piece called The Holy Virgin Mary, a painting by Chris O'Feely in 1996, which Wikipedia describes as follows, quote, on a yellow-orange background, the large painting, 8 feet high and 6 feet wide, depicts a black woman wearing a blue robe. The central black Madonna is surrounded by many collaged images that resemble butterflies at first sight, but on closer inspection are photographs of female genitalia. A lump of dried, varnished elephant dung forms one bared breast.
Shit tits.
Yeah. And the painting is displayed leaning against the gallery wall, supported by two other lumps of elephant dung.
It is, though.
Decorated with colored pins. The pins on the left are arranged to spell out Virgin, and the ones on the right, Mary. End quote.
Okay, but the elephant specifically feels difficult. You know, some assistant guy had to be like, elephant? We're in the UK. What are you talking about? It could be, can we just get Brian Eno or something? I don't know.
Well, see, I would be so much more impressed with modern art if most of it came from a, like, you know what, I bet I could get him to hang on a wall type of bet, right?
That Bear Grylls comes along, squeezes himself out a nice smoothie from that elephant dung. And now it's performance art.
Yeah, see? I knew you'd get it, Tom. And look, all that might make it notable enough, but the Christian freakout that followed was legendary. First and foremost, former New York City mayor and currently melting Ninja Turtle villain Rudy Giuliani called the painting in the press sick and disgusting. He then attempted to withdraw the annual $7 million City Hall grant from the museum and threatened it with eviction if they didn't get rid of the painting. The museum, as Wikipedia so politely puts it, resisted Giuliani's demands, and its director, Arnold L. Lehman, filed a federal lawsuit against Giuliani for a breach of the First Amendment. The museum eventually won that court case. The painting has been attacked twice by offended Christians. The first smeared white paint over the canvas, and the second threw manure at the side of the museum, which seems like more of a punishment for him than the painting.
Yeah.
The Virgin Mary made out of vaginas? Outrageous. Every good Christian knows vaginas have no role in making people.
Anyway, that guy, the one who threw the manure at the museum, he accused the guards who stopped him of Catholic bashing. And
what?
I love that the Wikipedia included the guards' reply to his protest here. Quote, museum guards protecting the painting were quoted as saying, "It's not the Virgin Mary, it's a painting."
It is, though, yeah.
And then they just stared at him for a while. And they were like, okay, you still seem confused. All right, so I'm going to pee on you and your Facebook profile pic, it's going to be fine. Does that make sense now?
I love that he went with Catholic bashing, though, right? As if Protestant Jesus did have a mom who had poop boobs or whatever. Like, but it's not. It's the whole religion.
Once again, controversy has not lowered the painting's value. And in 2015, the painting, get ready, Cecil, get ready, sold for $4.6 million and is currently
Cecil
on
was
display.
already mad at 4.6. It didn't matter.
Fucking what?
I love this.
And it is currently on display at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. So, hey, Tom and Cecil, make sure you check that out next time you come to visit, okay,
Yeah,
boys?
Sure, I'll try to scale the garbage mountain to get access to the museum. No problem. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get to Garbage Mountain, Cecil. Just you wait. Next up in our blasphemy reformation is Piss Christ, a 1987 photograph by the American artist and photographer Andres Serrano. It depicts a small plastic crucifix submerged in a smaller glass of the artist's urine and is actually, honestly, it's kind of lovely. The way the yellow light streams through the photograph, it feels kind of magical. But it also pissed off a bunch of people, which is especially funny because Serrano is a devout Catholic. And according to him, quote, what it symbolizes is the way Christ died. The blood came out of him, but so did the piss and shit. Maybe if Piss Christ upsets you, it's because it gives some sense of what the crucifixion was really like, end quote.
It was like a jar of pee with a trinket in it. Look, man, that's a fancy justification and all, but Piss Christ was there to make the pictures you took of your mid-flight ejaculate seem tasteful compared to something, okay?
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Two senators were so offended by the display of Piss Christ that they attacked the NEA's budget as a result, and a print of the photo was destroyed by Christian protesters in France. But that's nothing because it's a photo. It's a photo. Mm-hmm. And my personal favorite quote, during a retrospective of Serrano's work at the National Gallery of Victoria in 1997, the then Catholic Archbishop of Melbourne, George Pell, sought an injunction from the Supreme Court of Victoria to restrain the National Gallery of Victoria from publicly displaying Piss Christ, which was not granted. End
Okay,
quote.
well, that could have been embarrassing for George Pell and the Catholic Church. Fucking close one.
Now, once again, controversy has not hurt the price tag. Just a couple months before this recording, Piss Christ sold in a Sotheby's auction for $145,162. Now, at this point, you may be thinking to yourself, Eli, you've done such a
So mad.
Eli, you've done such a wonderful job with this essay. You're the heart and soul of the podcast. When are you and Cecil taking a road trip together?
I will kill you with, I'll fucking bludgeon you with a microphone. I fucking
Fair.
promise you.
Fair. But you may also be thinking, all right, Eli, is there any art on this list that you don't like? And yes, there is. While I wildly reject the my kid could do that opposition to most modern art, the next two pieces I really fucking hate.
I know that you don't mean that as an insult to your kid, but I feel like I should clarify that to the listeners who might be confused. His kid could do that.
He might be able to do Piss Christ. So first up is Garbage Mountain. See, Cecil? Huh? Told you it was coming back. Actually, it's called Embankment, and it's by Rachel Whiteread. And it's a bunch of white boxes. Whiteread famously duplicates and models forgotten places and things, sometimes in interesting ways and spaces, but Embankment is just 14,000 or so plaster molds of cardboard boxes stacked like around. Neither Whiteread or anyone else I could find has said what this is supposed to be or reflect. It's just a bunch of boxes.
I actually like this piece. I kind of like it.
How dare you?
No, I do too, Heath. Like, I looked it up online. It has this desultory, asymmetrical minimalism, so rigid that it feels like it arose from a geological process.
Right?
So I don't know what this fucking Rube Eli is on about, but I thought it was lovely.
Jail. You both go to art
I don't know
jail.
why he hates freedom.
Art jail. Art jail. And then, of
I
course,
like the shit tits one too, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
shit is
it's
funny.
actually, yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then, of course, there's one your kid actually could do and probably already has in Lego. Equivalent 8 by Carl Andre. The sculpture consists of 120 fire bricks arranged in 2 layers in a 6x10 rectangle, and it's dumb. Now, Carl Andre wants me to tell you that there are actually 8 arrangements of the bricks and the rectangle is only one of them, but I don't care because I hate it. So
Yeah, no, that one is just fucking stupid. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Now, on the bright side, Cecil, this piece did not fetch $8 bajillion at auction. The Tate paid $6,000 for it in 1966 and then $3,000 in 1996 because the 1966 exhibition was such a universally mocked failure that the artist returned the piece to the brick store for a refund.
Okay, laugh it up. But they bought it. Then somebody bought it again. And then he gets it back and then returned the used Legos. And we're making fun of that guy? Because that seems fucking genius. He sold the same shit twice and got his money back.
Everybody's finding their way into the art somehow. See, this is the great thing about modern art. So I'm going to leave you with the story of one last controversial piece of modern art that some of you may have already heard of, but almost everyone has heard of incorrectly. I'm talking, of course, about the starving dog. So this piece by Guillermo Vargas was titled Exposición Number 1 and was set in the Codice Gallery in Managua, Nicaragua. The exposition included the burning of 175 pieces of crack cocaine and an ounce of marijuana, while the Sandinista anthem played backwards. But the work also included an emaciated street dog tied to a wall by a length of rope with "Eres lo que lees," you are what you read, written on the wall in dog food. But then someone, it was Vargas, reported to the press that the dog had been starved to death throughout the course of the exhibition, like that they had just left it tied to the wall for the entire exhibition until eventually it died.
I'll fucking kill you right now. As an artist, it'll be easy.
Yeah. So I understand, Heath, except absolutely that is not what happened. The dog was only in the gallery for 3 hours, where it was given food, water, and then ran away when it was taken for a potty break outside. Now, this did not stop people from losing their goddamn minds, right? Vargas received thousands of emails, including death threats, and the petition to prevent Vargas from participating in the 2008 Biennial Centroamericana in Honduras received over 4 million signatures. Now, for his part, Vargas refused to comment on the fate of the dog at first, but then eventually pointed out that, like, people probably wouldn't just stand in an art gallery and watch a dog starve to death. And if they did, that would actually be pretty monstrous of them.
I didn't starve a dog. I just tricked people into thinking I did so I'd be more famous. Isn't a great defense, but it's a defense, I guess.
It's a weird flex.
Also, the idea of a dog that can starve to death in 3 hours is exactly as stupid as the people who believed the story was true.
So Vargas followed up the piece and controversy with a new piece called Exomia, a photo-a-day blog that appeared to be showing a dog Vargas had adopted growing more and more emaciated by the day. Now, people were, once again, worried that the starve a dog to death guy was going to starve a dog to death. And the Costa Rican National Animal Health Service investigated the case, finding that the dog was actually in good health. Vargas later explained that he had found the dog on the street in 2010. He'd apparently planned to adopt the dog in the original piece that ran away, and he had documented its recovery over time. The idea of Axomia was to upload the photos of the dog's recuperation in reverse order to get a bunch of attention and hate. Vargas described the reaction to his work as typical of a world in which people form opinions without being informed.
Yeah, okay, this one actually made me really like modern art. I'm fully on board now.
See,
That's good.
There we go.
That's great.
We got everybody.
That's great.
By the way, for those who are wondering, the dog, who Vargas named after the state paper of Nicaragua, lived happily and well-fed with Vargas until it passed away at the age of 11.
And if you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
You don't hate modern art. You hate gay people because Ronald Reagan paid Andrew Dice Clay to make you hate them.
And are you ready for the quiz?
I hate
I
modern
am
art.
indeed.
Whoa!
All right, Eli, why does most modern art suck? A, all the good art was already taken. B, people who call the bed that they just pissed in for 3 days art make at least as much money as people who cultivate an actual talent, so why bother? C, no country that spends $32 billion a year at McDonald's deserves true beauty. Or D, I'm an uncultured Philistine, unable and unwilling to appreciate its genius, which will be explained over the next 9 paragraphs of an email with no capital letters in it.
Okay, I sent you D in confidence, no illusion. So
Amazing.
I'm going to go with D. That was our little secret.
Yeah, it was D.
All right, Eli, the Cultural Center here in Chicago has free art exhibits, and I once went on a day where there was a lot of performance art. And
Oh, no.
A, I got into an elevator and there was a half-naked woman cowering in the corner with hair all over the floor after she had presumably just shaved her head. B, that will always now live rent-free in my head. C, there was no placard explaining anything or identifying the artist. D, on reflection, that may have just been a very weird elevator ride in Chicago.
It is Chicago.
Okay, Tom, I'm going to tell you something from my heart. I Googled that because I was like, oh, I'm going to make a funny little joke about what art that is. I found nothing, Tom. So, yeah.
Weird elevator ride it is.
Weird elevator ride.
There you go.
Oh, that actually makes me really
Eli.
happy.
Eli, which one of these Italian artists is also a pasta dish? A, Botticelli. B, Bellini. C, Bronzino. D, Parmigianino.
Is it D, Parmigianino?
I don't fucking know, okay? I don't know. And fuck you for thinking that you're a racist.
Good points. Good points. All right, Eli, I got one more for you. Am I doing art now? No? No? What about now? Now am I fucking doing art? Is this fucking art? What if I also shat on the mic? Now is it art because I shat on the mic? I'm coming. Is this art? Is it art now? Did I art it? Or D, The Last Supper Decker. It's a shit thing. There you go.
You were doing art. The art was inside you all along, dude.
Incorrect. It was E. No, none of that.
Didn't
Nothing
matter.
we talked about except for the two that I liked.
Matter.
Personally.
Last Supper Decker was going to 100% win. Heath is the winner.
All right. Next week, let's have Noah do it.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, for Noah, Heath, Eli, Tom, and me, I'm thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week. And by then, let's see, it's going to be Noah who's going to be an expert on something else. Between now and then, listen to all of our other stuff you can find at citationpod.com. If you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. Like to get in touch with us, check out some past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com. Botticelli.
Well, it is really roomy up your ass.
Yeah, I know. I spend a lot of time in here.
Here's your BFA from NYU.
Yeah?
A bunch of poems you know by heart.
Yep.
This thing with the... What's this thing with the pins and the strings and the podcastiverse? Is this...
That's the whole podcastiverse. Yeah, it's the whole linking system I've come up with.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
Well, that's why it's up here, Heath. That's why it's here.